Deep in China, there's a story about the Xia Dynasty, a time so long ago that it's hard to tell what's real and what's a myth. The Xia Dynasty is thought to be China's very first dynasty, like the first chapter in China's story. We don't have all the proof yet, but many believe the Xia Dynasty created the Chinese culture we know today. Imagine heroes, new inventions, and the birth of a whole nation. For many years, stories about the Xia Dynasty were passed down through families and written on special scrolls. These stories told of big floods, wise rulers, and the hard work it took to build a civilization. Today, we have people who study the past, like archaeologists and historians, who are trying to find real evidence of the Xia Dynasty. They want to bring this legendary kingdom to life. It's thought that the Xia Dynasty existed a very, very long time ago, even before the pyramids in Egypt were built. It was a time of big changes and new ideas, a time when Chinese society was just starting. Whether the Xia Dynasty is a myth or a real place, it still fascinates us today. It reminds us that stories have power and that understanding our past helps us understand who we are now. At the heart of the Xia Dynasty story is a legend named Yu the Great. Yu, according to these ancient stories, was a very talented and determined man. Imagine a time when China was constantly flooded. The Yellow River, which is sometimes called China's sorrow because it flooded so much, was a big problem for the people who lived there. Yu's own father had tried to stop the floods but couldn't. But Yu was smart and learned from his father's mistakes. Instead of trying to block the water, Yu decided to dig long channels and ditches to redirect the water to the sea. He worked very hard for many years, leading people in a huge project to control the floods. Yu's success made him a hero. People looked up to him as a wise and strong leader. He brought peace and order to their lives. And because of his hard work, the land was safe, and people could prosper. Because of all he did, Yu was chosen to be the leader of the Xia Dynasty. This is how China's first dynasty ruled by families began. Even though we don't know everything about the Xia Dynasty, we can still learn about life back then. Farming was super important to the Xia people. They grew crops like millet and rice, using the land near the Yellow River to plant their food. They even created clever ways to water their crops, using the channels Yu the Great had built. But the Xia people were more than just farmers. They were also skilled craftspeople. They learned how to make pottery, creating special pots for cooking, storing food, and even religious ceremonies. They also used jade, a beautiful green stone, to make jewelry and special objects. This shows us that they cared about art and beauty. Perhaps the most amazing thing the Xia people discovered was how to make bronze. Bronze is a strong metal made by mixing copper and tin. This new metal was a game changer. They used bronze to make better tools, stronger weapons, and even fancier vessels for their ceremonies. The discovery of bronze was a huge step forward for humans and helped create more advanced societies. The Xia Dynasty was a time when people started moving away from living in tribes to having a king and a government. The Xia Dynasty had a king, and when he passed away, his children would rule. The king had all the power and was in charge of keeping peace, leading the army, and performing important religious rituals. As the kingdom grew bigger, the king needed help. So he appointed officials, like helpers, to manage different parts of the kingdom. These officials collected taxes, made sure the water channels worked properly, and even acted as judges to solve arguments. This system, with the king at the top and helpers below him, became the way China was governed for a very long time. Another incredible thing about the Xia Dynasty is that they might have invented one of the earliest forms of writing in China. We haven't found any actual Xia writing yet, but stories tell us that they used symbols to keep track of important events, count their goods, and maybe even talk to their ancestors in the spirit world. For the longest time, the only way people knew about the Xia Dynasty was through old stories and books. But then, in the 1900s, archaeologists started finding clues that suggested the Xia Dynasty might be more than just a legend. One place, called Erlitou, became very important in the search for the Xia Dynasty. Erlitou is located in what we now call Henan Province, and it dates back to the same time period as the Xia Dynasty. When they dug at Erlitou, archaeologists found the ruins of a large and advanced city. They found the remains of palaces, workshops, and even tombs. They also discovered bronze vessels, beautiful jade artifacts, and signs that people had different social classes, just like we do today. All of these discoveries at Erlitou have led some experts to believe that this could be the lost capital city of the Xia Dynasty. While the debate continues, the findings at Erlitou and other ancient sites from this time show us that there was indeed a complex and advanced society in ancient China, just like the stories of the Xia Dynasty describe. Like all kingdoms, the Xia Dynasty eventually came to an end. According to legend, the last Xia king, Xia, was not a good ruler. He was selfish, greedy, and didn't care about his people. His reign was full of corruption and cruelty, which made the people angry and unhappy. Eventually, a new leader named Tang rose up against the Xia Dynasty. Tang was known for being kind, fair, and a great leader. People rallied behind him because they believed in him. In a big battle, Tang's army defeated the Xia king Jie and brought an end to the Xia Dynasty. Even though the Xia Dynasty fell, it left behind a legacy that shaped China forever. It established the idea of having a dynasty, which means a series of rulers from the same family. The Xia Dynasty also taught future generations how to farm, create bronze objects, and organize their society. But perhaps most importantly, the legends of Yu the Great and the Xia Dynasty continue to inspire people in China. Yu's determination to help his people and make life better for everyone is still a powerful example of good leadership. The Xia Dynasty, even though it existed long ago, reminds us that stories have power and that learning about our past helps us understand our present.